Welcome. I'll call this meeting to order. Kettle Creek Conservation Authority wishes to acknowledge the Treaty of the traditional lands originally occupied by the Indigenous First Nations peoples of the Anishinaabe, Attawandaron, and Haudenosaunee nations. KCCA strives to build meaningful relationships with Indigenous communities and acknowledges the importance of respecting these treaties and lands. And Declaration of Pecuniary Interest. Seeing none, move to the minutes.
Do a roll call first, just because some people are joining online. So Claude Noble
here,
Lori Baldwin-Sands here, Frank Burrs
here,
Jim Herbert
here,
Grant Jones
here,
Sharon McMillan
here,
Jerry Cribble
here,
JJ Strybosh
here,
Sam Trousseau
Here.
and John Wilson. So we have 9 of 10 members.
Okay. Mover and seconder for the minutes. Grant and Jim.
Baldwin-Sands,
yes,
Burrs,
yes,
Herbert,
yes,
Jones,
yes,
McMillan,
yes,
Cribble,
yes,
Strybosh,
Yes.
Trousseau,
Yes.
Noble,
Yes.
and that motion passes.
Okay. Matters arising, media report. Betsy, are you giving that?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just some standard updates on media that have been out in the last month. So we did a post to kick off the camping season, featured the trailers on their way into the parks and some of our seasonal campers. Next slide. We also welcomed our newest seasonal staff members to the campgrounds. So there was a number of training days held both at the office and in parks for those staff members. And lastly, we just did a post featuring thanking all the volunteers that support the various programs of KCCA.
Thank you. And any questions? Jim?
to the chair. With the weather been so bad, is it going to affect your budget with campers coming in and out, or?
Mr. Chair, to Jim, no, all the seasonal campers were in May 1st, and we just had our first big weekend. And it was a quiet weekend. It was cold, but it was well attended at both parks.
Okay.
Oh. Project tracking, Elizabeth?
Sure. So May is one of our busiest months for all staff as all programs get up and running. Jesse's been working on a YES program for both campgrounds. It's been finalized and distributed out to campers. Betsy mentioned our various orientation sessions for both the campground staff as well as the tree planting staff. I'm pleased to report that we were successful in our Canada Summer Jobs application, and this year we have 6 positions funded. Jen has put in another application for DFO funding to continue the drain classification program. Tallgrass prairies seeding has started at the Stanley Lyle Grove, as well as tree planting started earlier this week at that property as well. Betsy mentioned we did the Oxford Children's Water Festival. Members of the staff helped out Upper Thames in the delivery of that program. And we packed and sorted orders for 60 landowners who purchased over 10,000 seedlings through the Greening Communities program. So that program continues to be well received in the public. And the Lake Whitaker cabins, I mentioned to Jim, this was our first big weekend. This weekend past, being May 2-4 weekend. It's also the first weekend the cabins were rented. We can just go to the next slide. So all 4 cabins were rented this weekend, and positive reviews from each participant in those cabins as well. We have surveys that we're conducting with each rental, and just some quotes from the first people that stayed in the cabins. They think they're beautiful. It was an amazing experience. great hiking, accommodations. They're glad they sprung for the bunker as it kept it dry when it poured out this weekend. And I think we have one additional quote or testimonial.
I was included the two where.
Yeah, so all positive feedback from the cabin, and I think overall the 4 surveys we got this ranked the experience at 4 or 5 out of 5 for overall experience, and all said that they would book again. So really good feedback that we're getting from the first rentals.
Good. Awesome. Any questions? Any questions online? I only see one person at a time. Jerry?
Hi, Street Chair Elizabeth. It's great that you have the 6 students or through the FED program. I wanted to ask you, because I know there were some changes to this a couple of years ago. How many did we have last year, and did we have any more before the federal government changed its allocations?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, to Jerry, Jessica can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe last year we only had 2 positions funded. And then this year we're back up to the 6 what we had seen in prior years.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. No more questions.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Watershed conditions. Jennifer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of small things to report. Lake Erie static water level is still been just slightly higher than the long-term average. We did see 111% of the average total rainfall for the month of April, which is higher than normal. And that works out to be about 88.8 millimeters, throughout the watershed. We completed our annual snow surveys on May 1st and 15th. Seems a little weird, but sometimes you can get snow at that time of year. And that does mark the end of that program for this year. That's part of the flood forecasting and warning program that we collect snow data for. Lake Whitaker's 3 small drinking water systems are now in operation for the 2025 camping season. So all samples were collected in April. We do ongoing chlorine checks daily, and bacteria samples are collected twice monthly, which is way more than is required under our directive. Staff, so I was able to present at CA roles and responsibilities during a flood event at the Elgin County EMS showcase that they had a couple of weeks ago. It was well attended by all levels of EMS, volunteer groups, lots of presentations, really interesting to put faces to the people that I have on my mailing list and see what kind of other things the organizations are able to do during emergency events.
Thank you. Any questions? Jim?
To the chair. So I guess we all know 25 years ago, Walkerton hit the newspaper with the E. coli. And I took the 1-day water course 2 or 3 years ago. And you're doing all the testing that is required. The question was, do you have a process in place when you get a positive result? What is the process? Say it's Saturday afternoon or Saturday night at 10 o'clock and all of a sudden it comes up. What is the process in place that happens?
We have a full process in place, a full manual and a full set of steps and processes. We work in concert with the Middlesex London Health Unit. There's a whole process that is done when an adverse is recorded. Depending on what type of adverse it is, there's a different protocol or policy for each adverse. If it's, for example, a low chlorine residual, then there's a process for that. If it's an adverse for bacteria, there's a process for that. And we work very closely with the health unit.
So what do you do at that point when you find a positive result? Shut the well down, or do you shut everything down? Or I asked the same question to Jeff Lawrence, the city council, and he just smiled and gave me a 20-minute. If it was Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock, this is what happens. This is shutdown, eye contact. It's done very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So nobody gets drinking that water. I mean, when you get the test at the office, it's positive. When you,
If I get the test results, if I get a call and it says that it's positive, then there's a whole series of things that go into effect. The gatehouses are told right away, management is told right away, water is shut down, there's signs that were put out.
that's the question.
We go door to door to each camper in the campground and let them know if we need it, we provide drinking water in another way. And we retest, we resample, that information is sent out according to the requirements of the adverse, still in communication with the health unit until we get results back that are safe and the water is potable and then the water is turned back on.
Because that's always was the biggest concern in Walkerton. The two guys knew for 2 days.
Yeah, we don't
When
let.
they got in and they kept quiet, and they were not properly trained people. That was one of the other things. They just did it for years and waited 2 days, and of course it was too late. So I guess the key to the question was, are you shutting it down? When someone calls you at 2:00, it's 5 minutes after 2, is it shut down?
It is shut down immediately and perfect. And we have staff that are trained every 3 years on our small drinking water certification. Multiple staff at the parks or in the organization are trained, and there's backups on backups, and we are doing more than we are required to do.
Is the testing done on site?
Of course, yes.
Of course, okay. Thank you. Very good. That's good to hear.
Jennifer, I see JJ had a question.
Yeah. On the same thing, just curious about how the testing works. Is it like just a pass fail thing, or is it sort of a scale so we can see a trend of yes, it's still acceptable, but moving in the wrong direction? Is it, yeah, black or white or a scale?
So, Mr. Chair to JJ, for the water testing for the small drinking water systems, the samples are collected and taken to the public health lab in Ontario, in London. Results for E. coli and total coliform for drinking water must be 0. Has to be 0. That is the MAC for drinking water. So if it is not 0, that's an adverse, and the adverse policy kicks in immediately.
Okay, so my following question, because of that, is do we have like a bit of a stockpile on hand of drinking water if we have to just turn the water off? Do we have,
You said a lot of water.
do we have it on hand?
We would provide drinking bottled water if needed.
Thank you.
It's good.
Any other questions?
No.
Seeing none, can I have a mover and seconder that the staff reports be received? Jim? And Frank?
Baldwin Sands.
Yes.
Burrs.
Yes.
Herbert.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
McMillan.
Yes.
Pribble.
Yes.
Strybosh.
Yes.
Trousseau.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
And that motion passes.
Okay. Correspondence? We want to talk about this or?
So I don't have anything add to those pieces of correspondence unless
Okay.
there's questions from members.
Any questions on the correspondence?
Just a comment. I think that's a great letter to the Minister Flack, congratulating him and stating that we are there for him if there is any assistance, not to reach out. I believe that most of the first letters he receives is asking for a meeting and asking things. I think that's a great letter, and thank you for being positive. Excellent.
Thanks, Jerry. Jerry, did you want to move that the correspondence be received?
With great pleasure.
Okay. Seconder?
Here.
Lori?
Baldwin Sands.
Yes.
Burrs.
Yes.
Herbert.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
McMillan.
Yes.
Pribble.
Yes.
Strybosh.
Yes.
Trousseau.
Yes.
And Noble.
Yes.
And that motion passes.
Okay. Under new business, proposed response to the City of London. Did you?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just mention a couple of things on this. So we talked a little bit about it at the last meeting, this request from the mayor and the budget chair to for all boards and commissions to look at their 2026 budget ask and see if there's any cost savings that they can share with the city there. We did receive a formal letter from the mayor and the chair. I did double check with them. At this time, they don't wish to come and make a delegation to the board. They felt the letter was sufficient. So I did propose a draft back to them, just recognizing that our request, our 4-year request, included all of our efforts to look at ways that we can be as lean and mean as we can possibly. And those included phasing in salary reviews, outsourcing professional services rather than trying to maintain them on our staff, increasing self-generated revenue, including group procurement like our group benefits or insurance plans, and maximizing funding opportunities. And possibly a reduction in the apportionment due to the CBA realignment with the City of London. So as you'll note in the letter, I think it's too early to make that promise for 2026. But at least we've made the overture that we're doing our best to keep our budget lean, not just for the City of London, but for all of our member municipalities.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just more of a comment. Thanks, Chair. I think staff are doing a great job of maintaining their budget and looking for opportunities when they present themselves. And unlike our Thames Valley School Board. Jeez.
Jim?
To the chair, thank you. I think this is why it's important. We do have 3 reps from the City of London on our board. Because they can have a lot of input to their own council, what is happening, and answer some of the questions that need to be answered. So, and it's important for us to have that 2-way conversation with the group. So if there are a lot of any suggestions on our budget, I'm sure we all at the table have the same opportunity to put input into it and question it. But it's important to have the 3 on board because they know what's going on. We're very transparent. So. Anyway, thanks for the update, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Jim. Jerry?
Another great letter through the chair. And I just want to, when we discussed it last time, sorry, I hear it with an echo. Through the chair, Elizabeth, one thing that you were going to mention, I don't know if you had the discussions, for City of London to realize that, by the way, if there are certain savings because of the cost sharing with the other 2 municipalities, that it's not really for us, it's not just 1.5% for City of London, but it will be the additional 2% from other 2 municipalities. If you mentioned this or if you had any discussions regarding that.
I didn't put that in this letter. It's true that, you know, if we reduce the budget request for the City of London by 1.5%, it actually means like 3% to our overall budget. So it's not something that we can do. Instead, I tried to remain, again, positive and just mentioning to them that they're already seeing a cost savings just by virtue of their CBA being redistributed out to the member municipalities. And that was, you know, that meant a $19,000 savings to them in 2025. I think it's too early to say whether that'll be continued in 2026. I do know that some of the other CAs in their letters back to the city are mentioning that doubling impact to the city, that trying to meet their reductions, it actually has a doubling effect on their budgets.
Thank you. No more questions. And as what I started with, another great letter. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. JJ?
Yeah, I always incredibly impressed with how much this conservation authority does with so little money already. You guys run a really tight machine, and I'm really impressed, and kudos to all of you. And I'm like the citizen representative for London. What can I do in order to, you know, to help the city understand our situation? I guess that's
Mr.
the chair.
I don't know if Jerry and Sam have more input to that. I will say that I think the city staff, especially if not Councillor Pelosa, are very familiar with how lean this authority is. And I'd like to think that that's one of the main reasons why they haven't asked for delegation at this board. There's certainly, I think the letter that was sent to us is a willingness to work with this board to continue to advocate for more funding and not necessarily just coming and seeing what more savings we can do. So I do think that that's a positive thing that they didn't ask for delegation at this board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lori?
If I'm allowed to share it for you, JJ, I like to share the Kettle Creek Conservation Authority posts on social media. I share them directly to my page on social media without comment. And that way it reaches out to a larger community so that the larger community does know all of the things that KCCA does. And I put no filters on it. I make no comments on it, but it does help the reach and educate and communicate out to the public at large what KCCA does. So I hope something like that is helpful. If it's something that you're already doing, maybe do it more. If it's something you haven't started to do, it's something that you can do.
Through the chair, I suppose I need to get on social media then.
Wow. Okay. Jim, through the chair, it's always great to run a tight budget. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. But unfortunately, when you get down to the bottom line, and this is your budget, people tell, well, you can still decrease that. And you're tight as anything to get to that line. So sometimes maybe it's an advantage to be a little bit higher, 0.5% higher. Then when they want you to come down, oh yeah, then you really look good, you bring it down. So tight budgets are good, but it can be a disadvantage at times.
Can I say something? I'm having a difficulty here. This is Sam. Hello?
Yep, go ahead, Sam.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having all sorts of trouble today, so I'm on my phone now. I want to try to be respectful of the letter that you sent and the request that we received from the city, but I don't think it's very reasonable. I think they understand that an agency like ours is not going to be able to help them a lot with their huge tax levy in terms of getting it down. I think your letter was very good. I think it was appropriate. And I think it's also a good sign that they did not attend our meeting. I'm on some other boards and commissions that are very, very small. And I think it's very clear that if they want to find the kinds of savings that they're looking for, they're not going to find it from us. So again, thank you for that letter. I support it, but that's how I feel about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Frank?
Well, in our council, we're affected by 5 conservation authorities. Like, we're not a big part of this one, but every councillor is assigned 1. So there's 5 councillors. So the way we communicate every now and then is what's happening, and there is a realization that conservation authorities run pretty tight. So it's not a spot where you can look at to try to mine up significant money.
Yeah.
So, for the city of London, I know you have to blanket everybody, but perhaps you look elsewhere. Okay, that's my comment, and I'm not going to comment on where you can look. But I know you're just blanketing everybody, but conservation authorities run pretty tight everywhere, and that's a given, and nothing else to say about that.
Thanks, Frank. I only have experience on this conservation authority, and I know it has a very good reputation for doing a true and honest budget at the end of each year. So I don't know that I agree with padding the budget so that you can take stuff off. Kind of sounds a little bit like a used car sales kind of thing. You have negotiation. I appreciate all that Elizabeth and her team does and the way they put their budget together, and their reputation in the industry is good. JJ, you had another comment?
Yeah, through the chair. I before being on this authority, I was on the board for the Lower Thames Valley, and it just amazes me how tight. I'm also on the board of several private companies, and it's like you, you guys just really run tight ships. And um, I don't think the suggestion is to pad things, but I think the suggestion is more not to give up doing it right. And I think what I saw there and what I see here is a lot of doing it right at the very tightest costs. And I don't know, citizens who aren't involved in the boards and stuff and who aren't following meetings and things, they just don't appreciate how dedicated the people in the conservation authorities are. And I appreciate them. But anyway, I'm going to be quiet now.
I think it falls back on us to help educate the public on everything that goes on and how tight the budgets are, because like you said, most people don't know, and it's up to us to educate. Can I get a mover and seconder for the recommendation? Lori, Grant?
Todd Noble,
Yes.
Baldwin Sands.
Yes.
Burrs,
Yes.
Herbert,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
McMillan,
Yes.
Cribble,
Yes.
Strybosh,
Yes.
Trousseau,
Yes,
and Mr. Chair, I believe John Wilson joined online around 10:17. John,
Yes.
thank you.
Truck outside.
That motion carries.
Truck outside. Oh, yeah.
I'm drilling out near Scotland and there's no cell signal. I had to drive. I'm now in Mount Pleasant. I have 5 bars now. So my stuff started working.
You should be in St. Thomas doing my well.
Oh, I had to beat the weather.
Okay, next item is lifeguard equipment. Elizabeth?
Mr. Chair, so I am pleased to report that we were successful in getting a $21,000 rebate from WSIB, and that represented a percentage of the fees that we paid in 2023. It's up to the staff and board of how we use that rebate, but certainly staff would like to use it to improving some safety measures. There are a couple of things that we've talked about for a number of years at the pools, but since COVID, we've been really unsuccessful in getting a full complement of lifeguards at the pools, but I'm pleased to say this year we have a full complement and are eager to open the pools with lifeguards. 3 of the things that we've looked at purchasing in the past but have been cost prohibitive are the installation of actual lifeguard chairs. We used to have chairs that we had manufactured ourselves. They need to be actually manufactured by a company. And they are pricey. I'm looking at about $13,000 for chairs that meet the regulation. The second thing was actual like life-saving flotation devices that the guards can have at all times. Those roughly are about $700 to have a full complement of those. And then we've talked about it for a number of years, is providing more substantial shade. Simply with the sun these days, just an umbrella for them is just not cutting it. So we're looking at, they're called like sails almost, that you can have over the deck. So combined, we haven't had an opportunity to really do the 3 quotes and bring you exact prices, but these are ballpark, and certainly staff wouldn't go over the $20,000 from the rebate. And we think that we can get those elements within that budget, but it was unbudgeted items. And so I wanted to bring it to the board's attention and get approval for those purchases before the pools open.
Any questions?
I'll move it.
Okay.
Oh, I wanted to.
I know I'm made by Larry.
The only comment that I have is that the flotation devices, if I may, are also used as communication devices, which is a good thing, because they use them to get attention, or whether they're in the pool too. But there's signals that happen with the
I'll
lifeguard.
take it back and second it and let Lori move.
It's okay.
On the motion, Baldwin Sands.
Yes.
Burrs.
Yes.
Herbert.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
McMillan.
Yes.
Cribble.
Yes.
Strybosh.
Yes.
Trousseau.
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
and Noble.
Yes.
And that motion passes.
Next on the agenda is Kettle Creek Dog Park Agreement renewal.
Mr. Chair, there's two reports on the agenda this morning that are just tidying up some administrative items. The first one is the Kettle Creek Dog Park Agreement. This initiative between Central Elgin, KCCA, and the City of St. Thomas has been in place since 2013 when we initiated the dog park. I think overall, all three parties are very happy with the partnership. It certainly has increased the visibility of Dan Patterson Conservation Area, and it's a good way to use our lands for the park for all three parties. So the original agreement included an auto renew clause for it to renew to June 2025. So we're simply looking at the existing agreement and making some minor changes to it. Those changes include in early May, we met, everyone's happy with it. All the staff are happy with it. And the changes that we're looking at were basically minor and housekeeping items. One of them is a result of the CA Act changes. We want to make sure that the agreement reflects the agreement of all our member municipalities that using CA lands for recreational purposes is important and should be included in our watershed management strategy. So simply we're putting in wording around that. We removed elements in the original agreement that spoke to the establishment and the construction of the park simply because that is passed. We upped the minimum insurance from 3 to 5 million, which is pretty typical these days. And then just housekeeping items such as title and contact changes, but otherwise the agreement remains as it was in 2013, and we're simply looking for the board to adopt that. And then I would send a letter out to those member municipalities with the updated agreement and the ask that we reinitiate the arrangement.
Okay. Lori?
I remember the day we opened that park. It was on Kell when that was originally done. And so pleased to see how it has become a magnet for a lot of the customers. And I will say my pet is one of those customers and loves the area. It's just a great way to stretch their legs and run. And it's just so well used and just always a pleasant day to go down and visit the dog park.
Thanks, Lori. Jerry, you had a question?
I do. Thank you, through the chair. Elizabeth, when I went through it and when I look at the dates, on the second page, third paragraph, and whereas the authority and the municipalities previously entered into an agreement dated February 5th, 2024, is that an accurate date last year?
That'll have to update. It should be from the original agreement, I think is what I was referring to there. So I'll double check that I've got the correct date there, Jerry.
Okay, thank you. No more questions.
Jim?
I haven't been there for a long time. Is it just one big park? Is there no fenced off area? Is there a fenced off area for smaller dogs? Okay.
Yeah.
Because my dog got attacked 3 years ago by a big husky. So maybe 4 years ago, but I never. So anyway, and you're at your own risk, obviously.
Yes.
So, but I actually did talk to the police chief, and he said, "Whenever that happens, you should call. That dog could have attacked 5 other dogs, and maybe it'll attack a 3-year-old running around with the dog, and he couldn't get it in time. We need that information." So I don't know if he's aware of that. He said we'd like that information. So.
Okay. Mover and seconder that we accept that. Grant?
JJ?
Brad?
Yeah. Get his name on the books.
On the motion, Baldwin Sands.
Yes.
Burrs.
Yes.
Herbert.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
McMillan.
Yes.
Cribble.
Yes.
Strybosh.
Yes.
Trousseau.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
And Noble.
Yes.
And that motion passes.
Okay. Belmont Union Conservation Area Agreements.
So this is a very long-standing agreement with the municipality of Central Elgin. It's been around since 2000. and one, again, very favorable. No concerns with the agreement at this time. Simply it allows municipality Central Elgin maintains Belmont and Union for us, and it's counts as part of their green spaces as well. So this existing agreement is a 5-year agreement. It basically ended on October 31st, 2024, but it too had a renewal clause in it that everyone agrees to it, then it would extend the agreement to October 31st, 2029. When I was reviewing the agreements, I realized that we didn't have that formal back and forth between the two organizations as part of staff turnover. And so what I'm simply asking today is that, again, I send a letter to Central Elgin notifying that I'm happy with the agreement and we wish to enact that extension on this existing agreement. Staff from Central Elgin are in agreement with this process. And so again, it's just formalizing the extension between the two parties.
Okay. Any questions? No? Mover and seconder, anybody online?
Sure, I will.
You Sharon?
Yes.
Anybody else?
Seconded.
Seconded by Jim.
Debated. The online crowd's reluctant to.
Alderman Sands?
Yes.
Burrs?
Yes.
Herbert?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McMillan?
Yes.
Dibble?
Yes.
Strybosh?
Yes.
Trousseau?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
And Noble?
Yes.
And that motion passes.
Okay.
I was
Appointment.
Unmute there for about 15 seconds.
Need another bar. Yeah. Okay. There's a delay.
Appointment of regulation enforcement officers.
Yes, so under CO's protocol for Conservation Authority designation of provincial offenses officers, we do have to meet 3 criteria. Staff have to meet 3 criteria to be appointed an officer. They have to be adequately trained in the legislation they are about to enforce. They have to have a clean criminal record check, and they have to be appointed at an official board meeting. Maisa Famagali has now been with us for 6 months this May, fulfilling the role of the Planning and Regulation Supervisor. She finished her provincial offenses training, specifically in the Conservation Authorities Act in April, I believe, and that's her class photo at the bottom of the screen. So Maisa already had her provincial offenses training, but she did elect to go through the Conservation Ontario course. It tends to be a little bit more focused on the Conservation Authorities Act, and it was a great opportunity for her to meet some of her fellow enforcement officers throughout the network. So I'm pleased to say that she's completed her training, and this motion is simply housekeeping to officially make her a provincial officer for the purposes of our regulation, and then just reappointing Jeff Lawrence as the second municipal officer that we use, and together they're working very closely on the planning and regulations file. So the actual motion is that in accordance with section 30.1 of the Conservation Authorities Act, the authority appoint Maisa Famagali and Jeff Lawrence as regulation enforcement officers with all the powers and duties of a provincial offenses officers appointed under the Act for the enforcement of regulations under section 28 and 29 of the Conservation Authorities Act in the jurisdiction of the Kettle Creek Conservation Authority.
Okay, any questions? Mover and seconder, Lori?
I'll make one.
John Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Sands?
Yes.
Burrs?
Yeah.
Herbert?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McMillan?
Yes.
Cribble?
Yes.
Drybosh?
Yes.
Trousseau? Sam?
Hey, he's muted.
Wilson?
Muted.
Yes.
How do you get hold of him?
Noble?
Yes.
And that motion passes.
He's on.
He's on now.
Sam, were you okay with that motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'm having a lot of trouble.
That's okay. The motion passes.
Okay. And May Planning and Regulations report?
Mr. Chair, Maze is on the line if there's any questions from members on that standard report.
Jim?
To the chair. Well, when I was reading this and then I think it's the answers self-explanatory for it. Has the golf course been sold to have this done? Or is this on condition that these conditions are met and then the golf course would be sold? Because it says there, they're doing all this testing on the golf course, and so if they're doing that testing, does that mean the golf course has been sold?
I don't think the golf course was sold. I think the owners are looking for this option.
Yeah, so this is all approved, but this all works out for them. I assume everybody's heard the rumors that it's been sold, but I have not seen anything officially said it's been sold. And this is the first part here I see where it says, yeah, they're doing the testing, so condition on passing the testing to sell it or to put houses on?
I can't speak for the owner, Jim. I don't know.
No, that's just self-explanatory there, because they're asking for this testing.
Yeah,
Not doing it for nothing. Anyway, thank you.
okay.
Todd, I can be
Frank?
on it. Yeah, the owner of Kettle Creek lives in Delaware. Her and her son were partners in this. I think they just changed where the son has purchased his mother's share. And of course, there's rumors that they're gonna, all right, but who knows? I haven't heard, I didn't ask, but there's a little bit on the ownership, so.
Yeah, that's fine.
You probably know more than I do. Well, what's up, Jim?
They're just rumors, so they're not fact. And I'm not starting any rumors. I just question what else is being done for.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, mover and seconder? Grant?
Frank is here.
I can't, if you want, yeah.
He's hiding it.
Well, I'm waiting for the online crowd too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll second it then.
Jerry,
There you
second.
go.
Baldwin Sands,
Yes.
Burrs,
Yes.
Herbert,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
McMillan,
Yes,
Cribble,
Yes.
Strybosh,
Yes.
Trousseau,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Noble,
Yes.
and that motion passes.
Okay. Mover and seconder to move into close?
Okay, let's do that. Oh, jeez. I have it.
Grant?
I can.
To move into close at 10:43, Baldwin Sands.
Yes.
Burrs.
Yes.
Herbert,
Yes, and I have it.
Jones,
Yes.
McMillan,
I read it.
yes.
Cribble,
Yes.
Strybosh,
Yes.
Trousseau,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Noble,
Yes.
and that motion passes.
Yeah.